So Carlos Sainz apparently has an idea to make Formula 1 more fair, and let me start by saying that no matter how clever and genius it sounds, it is just not possible for good reasons that I'll share in this video. So before we get into what he actually said, we need to first understand where he's coming from. Carlos Sainz's current situation in Formula 1 is a bit dicey. He joined Williams in 2025 after James Vowles, the team principal, convinced him of the Williams project for the 2026 season. But the 2026 season that James Vowles has promised Carlos has not gone according to plan at all, because he did the classic mistake of over-promising and under-delivering. So this idea that Carlos is sharing makes sense as a reaction to the situation he's currently facing, because hear me out, Carlos is a very positive driver. I have rarely seen him being negative in public, but this season, especially the past couple of races, he has been very critical of Williams, his own team. So it really asks the question whether Carlos has regretted a decision and whether that regret has turned into this utopian idea that he's presenting that I'm going to share with you right now. So now that we know what Carlos's situation in Formula 1 is, let us debunk his idea one by one and make solid statements why it's just not possible. So the first idea he shared was that every driver would race 2 Grand Prix in each car on the grid throughout the season. Absurd. This sounds interesting at first, because imagine Max driving in Ferrari and then Kimi Antonelli driving a Williams or Lewis Hamilton driving an Alpine. It sounds interesting, but it just would not work, and here's why. You see, every car is different and every team develops its car around performance and driver comfort. If the driver changes every race, there is no stable development direction. Every driver drives differently. Some drivers might be aggressive on corner entry, some drivers might be aggressive on corner exit. So if the drivers are on a rotation every 2 Grand Prix, then teams would not have constructive data to actually build on something. Because the fact is that teams improve their cars based on long-term data and feedback, and if it changes every other race, then there is no development. Another big factor is that it would create a huge identity crisis for the teams, because the team's brand identity is heavily linked to the drivers they are currently associated with. So Max Verstappen, let's say, decides to move from Red Bull to, let's say, Mercedes. So Mercedes would have a boost while Red Bull will take a dip. But if that happens every other race, then does Mercedes really take a dip, or would Red Bull really profit from it? No, it would be a complete disaster of brand identity. So all of this is already a huge problem before we even get to the second idea. So in his second idea, he says that the driver becomes part of F1, not part of a team. He is a client hired by Formula 1 to drive the cars. Now this definitely sounds very neat on paper. Like, just imagine that the driver becomes part of F1, he is a client hired by F1, and the teams are independent. It just sounds so businessy and so sweet to hear at. But F1 is built around teams, not just drivers. There's a reason why teams like BYD is trying so desperately to get into F1. And before that, it was Cadillac trying desperately to get into F1. The teams are the ones developing the cars, developing the strategies, and creating the identity of the sport. The formula that Formula 1 talks about just would not exist. If you didn't know why F1 is called Formula 1, is because there is a set of rules that define this sport, a set of rules that governs how the car should be built. Imagine it as a recipe given to you to, let's say, bake a cake. Now you might use some other ingredients to bake the cake, but in the end you should bake the cake according to the recipe. That is what the formula is. But if you just steal that identity from them, not give them enough data to actually build upon, and then just separate them from the driver identity, then it messes up the entire thing. F1 is a business for sure, but it is a business built on the competition between the teams. And my point makes more sense when you hear the third idea that Carlos says. In his third idea, he said that I would get my chance to do 2 races with Williams, 2 with Mercedes, 2 with Ferrari. Every driver would have exactly the same opportunity to win the World Championship. No, Carlos, that chance would not be the same for everyone. Each car has different strengths and each track rewards these strengths. Some track might require great cornering ability, while some tracks like Monza might require great top speed. So essentially, a car that is great at cornering might look amazing on one track and useless on another. While on the other hand, a high-speed car can dominate on a track like Monza, but then completely fall apart on a track like Monaco where the top speed is just not reachable. The point I'm trying to get at is that this would not be a fair chance. This would not be fair conditions. Just saying that I get to do 2 Grand Prix with all the teams does not make it fair, because it becomes a game of luck, whether you get the car you need on that track or not. If a track requires cornering and you get a shit car at cornering, then you're not gonna be lucky and you're gonna lose points that you, let's say, deserved and was fair to you. But that is not fair because it is now part of luck. The entire concept of being fair is to be, let's say, more equal, but then when you add a factor of luck, fairness just falls apart. So this is why the idea sounds equal, but it just heavily depends on track conditions and luck. And the last point that Carlos says just blew it away for me. So the fourth and final idea he shared was that you would completely separate drivers from brands, creating a true drivers' championship and a true manufacturers' championship. Okay, I have to give credit where it deserves. This point in itself sounds very interesting. Like, if we separate it from the absurdity that the previous points were, this point on its own is actually very strong, because this would genuinely make the driver's standings actually be a competition to find the best driver. Because let's be honest, a lot of world champions in Formula 1, and I'm talking post 2000 era, because I don't know before that, I was born in 2005, give me a break. So yeah, as I was saying, that a lot of champions that we have seen in Formula 1 after 2000, let's be honest that they have had a huge car advantage at some or the other point. And that is the point of Formula 1. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it is a good thing, because that is the point. It is a team sport. The more the driver gels with their team and the more they work upon the data and the feedback, the better the car becomes. So obviously there are some loopholes that Formula 1 teams try and get advantages from, like this season, the compression ratio, and before that there were some other loopholes that have happened in every engine regulation. But a good car really makes a difference and has made world champions. Look at Braun GP 2009. Now I'm not saying Jenson Button is not a world champion material, I'm saying he is. But Braun GP, who would have expected that Braun would become such a dominant car and give the world championship to Jenson? Or look at Mercedes from 2014 to 2020. They built a dominant car, they were ahead on the engine regulations, and then they got the dominance that they technically deserved. So what I'm saying is that this idea on its own does make a lot of sense if we separate from the fact that it just cannot happen. But for the constructors, it would still be messy, because here's the fact. A good driver can still drag a bad car upwards, but a bad driver can literally waste a very good car. Imagine giving Lance Stroll the current Mercedes. I don't think bro is gonna actually put it in top 10 or top 5, while the car is a top 3 contender every single race, even though it might look fair. But again, it depends on when you get the car, on which track you get the car, who is the driver that gets the car. It's a lot of things that ultimately, when you put them together into the 4 to 5 ideas that Carlos has shared, just does not work in the way that he hopes this fairness would be provided in. That are all the points. So let me know what you think of Carlos's idea to make Formula 1 more fair. Do you think I was a bit harsh on his idea, given that Williams is currently struggling, and okay, his idea is pretty interesting, but again, I have given pretty good points in my opinion that support why, or maybe not support why, his idea just cannot happen in Formula 1. And if you think that his idea actually makes sense, then comment down below. I would love to learn from you as well. So that is it for this video. And if you want to know why Lewis Hamilton's terrible 2025 season was because of Ferrari and why his recent Barcelona win was impossible without Ferrari, then check this video out. It should be on the left or right, depends on where I place it. So thank you for watching this video. If you are interested, watch this video as well. See you in the next one. Take care.